Can you hear me?
I hear you, but the lag's still there.
Yeah, no, it's gonna be a bit of a challenge now.
I can hear you perfectly.
Okay, I think. Yeah, well, let's try. Let's try. Let's try. We'll try and salvage whatever that's possible. There's nothing we can do about the leg, unfortunately.
So yeah, I'll speak in smaller bites so that it's not too long a lag.
Yeah.
Such a lag. But yeah, man, varsity.
Yeah. You were still saying. You were still telling us.
Yeah, varsity. So I started smoking in a very high stress environment because when you're on SRC, it's like a job. So man, that was intense. So I smoked Camel Lights. I moved through the range, and those were the days of parties and all
Yeah.
sorts of other wonderful and not so great things.
Mm. Yeah.
But yeah, so that's how I got started.
Okay. And then you finally find yourself being a non-smoker. How did that come about?
2020, man, COVID. For a long time, I wanted to quit smoking. But obviously, when you're working in stressful situations, you find reasons to keep doing it. But 2020 came around, being at home a lot, being around my daughter, spending a lot of time with my family, more time than I ever had before. I started realizing it's not nice being the one with, the weird smell around the house. And, having your daughter holding you all the time, you don't want it to associate the smell of cigarettes with you. So that was a big, big, big motivator. But honestly speaking, it was also health. I started thinking about health. We're not that young anymore. And you start getting slight niggling pain here and there. But so
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
but I think COVID, being around family, that was the crux. I was like, yeah, I gotta quit.
Okay, cool. So COVID was your final push that pushed you, negged you in the right direction, I suppose. Um, which I've seen a lot of people do, but immediately after that, after like the lockdown, people have actually gone back to smoking. So I'm actually wondering to myself now, when you say you eventually got to quit because of the lockdown or COVID, do you not think at some point you'll go back to smoking? Yeah.
For me, I don't want to go back. And I think the honest reality is the wonderful feeling you have of not smoking. And I can only speak for myself. The ability to breathe the way you do, um, how your body reacts to not having cigarettes or nicotine running through it anymore. It's amazing. I'm not even gonna lie. It feels great. Every now and again, you get the temptation, especially when you have a drink. But
Yeah.
reality of it, man, is the cost, physical impact, and I mean, this thing of going outside helps you, but how do you got to? When I was
Yeah.
and I gotta thank my boy big time because we quit at the same time. From now we quit, we decided to quit together, and he also had a long history of smoking. We've been talking and saying I've got to quit, and then he just did.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
he doesn't smoke, I don't smoke, and it's great.
Yeah, the journey is always easier when you do it with somebody else. And it's a good thing that you actually found somebody to do it with. When you speak about your daughter being one of the motivations to you quitting smoking, I always say to a lot of people, they don't consider third hand smoking, which is, like most people, like smokers, they would smoke in their cars when they're alone, thinking that it's just them and nobody else around them is going to be affected. But you don't realize that we leave a lot of residue around the car, like the dashboard, the seats, our clothes and stuff. And this is how basically our kids actually get to be affected by such things. Not that necessarily we're blowing the smoke into their faces. Well, that's secondhand smoking, but I mean, third-hand smoking, it's still as dangerous as first-hand smoking, you know, especially to our children, which for me was the deciding factor as well. When I quit smoking, when my son was born, that's when I actually decided this time around I need to do this for my son, if not for me. And quite honestly, I'm one person that loved smoking. If it hadn't been for my son, I don't think I would be where I am now, you know. Yeah. But apart from that, do you think smoking has affected, or it affected your productivity in any way?
100%, man. I'll be honest with you. If you let anything be a vice for you that influences you to the point that you need it, um, that's definitely affecting you because I used to go through problems. So having not, having quit smoking, it's amazing now how other things can fill that void in a much more productive manner.
Okay.
I never really thought about that way. I mean, and if I look at how many times in the day I'd go for a smoke, or how many times I would step out and drive out to smoke. And that time is now something else. It's time for me to either, have a moment to myself, because
Mm,
the go-to reaction was, okay, I got a bit of pressure going on the head, I got to think, let me go get a cigarette. I don't do
yeah.
that anymore. Now
Mm,
I meditate a lot. I spend more time with my kid. She's amazing. I mean, rather than go for a walk to the shop, believe me,
yeah.
I'd rather go for a walk with her. But overall, I think I may only see the true benefit physically of having quit smoking because it's giving me more life.
Yeah.
I have a bit more time.
You sounded quite excited when on the Facebook post about how basically having quit has been the greatest decision that you've done so far. You know, one of the greatest decisions that you've done so far. So like how has that changed for you? Like I know for myself, I used to believe or feel that I'm not performing at like ever since I started smoking, I haven't been performing at my 100%, you know, at my fullest ability, and it just didn't make sense, and I had to at some point start, you know, quit and be on my 100%. And also, I'm trying to hit the 15 years of not smoking, where I literally have like 0% chance of, I've got like more or less the same percentage as a non-smoker in terms of my health stats, you know. So that was one of the most but again motivating issues for me.
Look, brother, for me, there were a lot of factors. I mean, when you're a smoker, utafana kama bakawa now why you want to keep smoking. And nobody will stop. But the reality is when you start being conscious about yourself, um, for example, my mother is a cancer survivor. She's never smoked a day in her life. But
Oh,
knowing that I'm doing something that could potentially bring me to a place where I have that illness, and then leaving my family in whatever kind of place they may be for me to leave earlier. I mean, obviously, car accidents stuff happen, but this is something that I'm doing to myself. Nobody forces me to buy cigarettes. Nobody forces me to spark a cigarette up. And knowing that the reality of the matter is that I'm inhaling toxins. It's a weird thing. I mean, there was a time, and I'm not judging it, I know that it's difficult when you're a smoker, not even difficult all the time, you like it. But
no.
the reality is when you reach that point and you realize that every cigarette that I take, I'm literally inhaling smoke. Like, where I'm home and just sit there over fire and inhale or put your mouth on it. Like, obviously, the toxins are different, but even when you think about it like that, you realize that yeah, the allure of cigarettes and all of that, haio. And once you stop, I think one of the most amazing things is once you stop, the first thing I loved doing was after about a couple of weeks, I looked at my hand. And when you look at your hand and you start to see, you think your complexion is a certain way, but you realize that your hands and your fingers had gone dark from cigarettes. And when you stop, you start to get a bit lighter, you breathe a bit better. And that's when you realize what you're saying, that no matter how much you tell yourself, you could not be 100% productive when you're smoking. It's just not possible. Your body is not designed for that. And I love that people like to exercise and eat well and all sorts, but reality, man, is that when you come to that realization that, yeah, I'm busy processing toxins with my lungs that aren't even supposed to be processing toxins, you realize that if I want to operate optimally, this is one of the things I need to let go of. And I think for most people, if you have a bigger sense of purpose beyond what you're living currently, whether it's cigarettes, whether it's reckless behavior, anything, you just decide that, yeah, I need to be a bit more ongoing, you know.
Yeah. And I actually quite feel tempted to ask her. So your partner, how did she feel about you and smoking? You being a smoker.
Wabana gona batho ba tsebang re ba manganga. I'll tell you, you smoke and you'll find reasons to justify your smoking. Whatever. And here you are subjecting this person to its odors. But I think the biggest thing for me was realizing the possibilities of what I'm doing to my health, and realizing that my health doesn't belong to me alone. I would love to say that I was wise enough to realize that from my life, but like I say, I realized it for my family, including my wife and my child. That's when I realized it. I mean, Warren Buffett says that your body is like that one car you get to buy, but you can't change it for the rest of your life. And this is my asset. This is how I make my money. And I realized it was just through smoking for me to get those moments of gratification. I'm putting a whole lot of things at jeopardy. And my wife, I must be honest, I guess she would try to accommodate because I said I was a stress smoker more than a social smoker. But another looks, man, when you step out to go do that, and come back with that smell. Yeah, she put up with a lot, and I'm grateful that she was patient enough and encouraging enough in the right ways for me to come to the point where I thought that I need to stop doing this.
Yeah. No, I get you. I mean, I, as well, I haven't been in or I'm not sure if you still are in the insurance space, but I'm sure you would also know the benefits of not being a non-smoker. Like, I always tell people that my life policy actually doubled just from quitting smoking without even increasing my premiums, and that was a huge plus for me. What would you say to the next person that wants to smoke, to stop smoking?
It's not easy, but you need to be honest with yourself. And I think this goes just beyond smoking. I think it's critical that we become people who are honest with ourselves, and look at the man in the mirror and look at the harsh realities of how we live. I mean, age and youth allows us to be very reckless, and we'll say, but at the end of the day, the decision to stop smoking benefits nobody more than it does yourself. I don't think anybody, especially when I'm a we have this culture of people will use it to be and I would ask them, but we cannot allow ourselves to be slaves to social dynamics and end up becoming a rebel against the system just to keep smoking. It's like, cutting off your nose to spite your face. So what I would say to you is, if you really want to quit, and you really see the benefits of you possibly doing fixing your relationship and how people perceive you and your own health, find people who are supportive. I think that's the first thing. Find somebody who is with you, whether it's an acquaintance, a friend. Be around people. Some of the people who are struggling with you will be supportive and have, but what you don't need is to be around people who look down on your attempt. Because if you look down on your attempt, it's still a lot more than looking down on smoking. Looking down on your attempt. If you look at that in the realist, people who are looking down on your ambitions. You don't need people around.
Yeah.
Just find people who want you to win. Who want you to win. And I tell them, I want to be smoking. Can you just, when I get a bit weak, get me out?
Yeah. Look, I think our feed is getting a bit worse. But I really thank you for having afforded us the time to speak to you. I'm hoping we could do this again on a better connection. I'm not too sure how, but thank you very much. I think that's it. Huh? Unless there's anything else that you'd want to add on to this.
We can do a Zoom and record it and then maybe put it up or something. I don't know.
You cool? Yeah, no, there's the leg is too much.
Thank you. I think if I can say anything, thank you. Well done. If I could sign.